live in Massey. Proud about it, you know. Somebody say, "Oh, I'm from New York, so I'm from Massey."
Good evening. Hello, everyone out there. My name is Ron Ferguson, and I'm a student at Kaiser University full-time in the Sports Medicine and Fitness Technology program. Before I get started, I'd like to share a little about myself. I was born and raised in West Palm Beach, Florida. As a child, I participated in many organized sports such as baseball, basketball, and football. Following a failed first attempt at college, I shortly thereafter enlisted in the United States Air Force, where I served as a financial manager for 10 and a half years. Desperately seeking a change in my career path, I decided to trade in my uniform to pursue my education in the realm of health, fitness, and wellness. So here I am talking to you today. So why am I talking to you today? Well, I'm here to discuss and make you aware of an epidemic that is plaguing our nation, referred to as childhood obesity. So, by definition, you may ask, what is childhood obesity? Childhood obesity is a serious medical concern and condition that affects children and adolescents. It occurs when a child is well above the normal height and weight for his or her age and height. So let's get into some facts about childhood obesity. Childhood obesity has more than doubled in children and quadrupled in adolescents in the past 30 years. In 2012, more than 1/3 of children and adolescents were categorized as overweight or obese. Obesity is a result of a caloric imbalance. That means that there's too few calories being expended per the amount of calories being consumed. Essentially, that's taking in too many calories, potentially due to overeating and not enough physical activity to counter or balance the calories consumed. Additionally, various genetic, behavioral, and environmental factors attribute to obesity, such as learned behaviors and eating habits, potentially the child seeing how their parents or older siblings eat and develop some not necessarily healthy eating habits. The type of foods provided in the environment or access to those foods in that environment could affect a child potentially becoming obese. Some statistics, just get into detail, I found interesting about childhood obesity is that the percentage of children aged 6 years old to 11 years old in the United States who were obese increased from 7% back in 1980 to 18% in 2012. Similarly, the percentage of adolescents aged 12 to 19 years who were obese increased from 5% to 21% over the same period. I like to share a quote from the First Lady of the United States, the current First Lady. As you know, there's some transitioning going on in the presidency in the White House, but the current First Lady, Michelle Obama, said this, and I quote, "Slowly but surely, we're beginning to turn the tide on childhood obesity in America. Together, we are inspiring leaders from every sector to take ownership of this issue," meaning that we're all responsible, especially as responsible adults, professionals, doctors, lawyers, just parents. It takes a village. And so from that quote, what I take from that is that we're all responsible in educating ourselves and providing that information and passing it down to the children to kind of go at war with this epidemic of childhood obesity. Now, let's get into some of the effects, the health effects that accompany childhood obesity. First, we'll start with some of the immediate effects. Immediately, obese adolescents or children are more likely to have prediabetes. a condition in which blood glucose levels indicate a high risk for diabetes. Excuse me. Next, obese youth are more likely to have risk factors for cardiovascular disease such as high cholesterol or high blood pressure. Children and adolescents who are obese are at a greater risk for bone and joint issues, sleep apnea, social and psychological issues such as stigmatization and poor self-esteem. We all know, growing up, that children can be very mean to other children. It's unfortunate, as you see a lot of the campaigns, the anti-bullying campaigns that's going on, trying to eliminate or make an effective advance towards stopping the bullying going on. But the truth is that it happens. So if a child is overweight, there's a very good likeliness that they could be targeted by bullies, and that could negatively affect their self-esteem, ending up in them developing different types of social disorders, just psychological disorders. It's very unfortunate, but it's very possible and likely that could happen, consciously or subconsciously. So that's one of those immediate things that we want to try to assist our children with, and so that they don't have to experience that. It's not wrong. It's not right by all means, but we can take action. And like I said before, we're all responsible. All right, so let's get into a couple of the long-term issues that accompany childhood obesity. Long-term, children and adolescents who are obese are likely to be obese as adults, and are therefore at greater risk for adult health problems such as heart disease, type 2 diabetes, stroke, cancers, and osteoarthritis. Additionally, obesity and being overweight are directly associated with an increased risk for different types of cancers, such as cancers of the breast, colon, endometrium, esophagus, kidney, pancreas, gallbladder, thyroid, ovaries, cervix, and prostate. And that's not even all of them. So childhood, just being obese and living with childhood obesity, there's a direct correlation with these types of diseases and illnesses that's very likely to happen in older age if the issue isn't resolved. So now that we know what childhood obesity is, some of the facts about childhood obesity, the view of the First Lady, FLOTUS, First Lady of the United States, and some of the immediate and long-term effects. Let's talk briefly about some of the things that can be done to prevent childhood obesity or to get it in check, which is very, very important. So let's just get into a couple of those things. As far as prevention, promoting healthy lifestyle habits, including healthy eating, physical activity, which is a huge one. Physical activity. Get the kids into sports, physical activity, or not just sports, but just playing. Get them out in the neighborhood, play with their friends, run around for 30 minutes to an hour. Get away from spending extended periods of time watching television and playing video games or searching the internet. Those are all good, stimulating things as well in their own right, but physical activity along with healthy eating habits, developing those things are a big deal, something to take home. These things can significantly lower the risk of becoming obese and developing related diseases. Next, as I previously mentioned briefly, allow for 30 minutes to an hour of physical activity daily. Used to be recommended 30 minutes a day, but now it's more of a recommendation to get an hour, each day. Get out, take a walk, You could play Pokemon Go together. That's pretty popular. Go shoot some hoops, toss the football around, maybe toss the baseball in the backyard. Go for a jog together. Make it a family thing and make it something to look forward to. Next, utilize resources such as choosemyplate.gov. That's a very great resource. It's an official resource to get educated on healthy eating habits and what your plate should look like and what your child's plate should look like. Sign your children up for organized sports. As I said before, I played football, baseball, and basketball from about the age of 7 until I graduated from high school. And then I also played some intramural sports in college and even walked on to the football team at UCF. And that lasted briefly. But one thing that I can say from personal experience is getting out there in those organized sports will keep those kids active. And in addition, just added benefit, they'll learn great social skills, leadership skills. They'll learn accountability from participating in these type of sports. So in addition to their health, it'll also just make life better for them in general. Some of these organized sports, as I mentioned before, but in addition to that, you can put them in soccer, swimming, like I said, baseball, basketball, football, or gymnastics, which will ensure physical activity and ensure or assist with their social skills and the development of their self-esteem. So a special note to the parents, to the adults, to the caretakers of these children. I want to just put it out there, parents, professionals, and all adults in authoritative positions should stay actively engaged in the health of our youth, and we can do so by getting educated and getting involved. So the take home and a quote or a motto that I've decided to start living by and to start actively engaging with my family, friends, and the children around me is simply, let's get active. So just kind of wrapping up, I don't want to take too much of your time, but just wrapping up, there are a lot of resources out there. I've taken the time to put together a brochure to help you get educated, something that you can take along with you. It's a guide that I've made for awareness and prevention, and it's a very quick and easy read. You can share it. It's easily accessible, easy to read. If you got an 8th grade education, the words in there are put so simple that you can immediately start applying some of the things in this brochure. So I highly encourage you to pick this up. Additionally, some other resources out there that are available. 2 resources that I actually use often, and they are official resources. You can go online at www.mayoclinic.org and to look up some of the information involving childhood obesity. And you can also check out the CDC, www.cdc.gov. It is also a great resource, an official resource to get further information and more resources in relation to this epidemic that we've been discussing of childhood obesity. Lastly, if you have any questions for me, like I said, my name's Ron Ferguson. You can email me at rj.ferguson84@gmail.com, and I'll gladly answer any inquiries that you have for me, any questions that you have for me. And if I don't know the answer, I promise you I will actively seek the information for you and get back to you. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your patience and listening to what I have to say tonight. I feel very passionate about this cause, and as I said before, let's get active. Have a good night.